I'm heading down to Kettering in the south of Tasmania to take a close look at Osprey. We'll climb aboard this beautiful Herreshoff design with her owner Neil. Then we'll sail her up to her mooring in Lindisfarne north of Hobart, just under the Tasman Bridge. We'll put her on the mooring where she's due for some winter maintenance. I've got a few days to kill, so I'm taking the scenic route to Hobart via Tasmania's east coast to the Bay of Fires. Then I'm heading back to Launceston overnight via the highlands, where I'm sleeping in the back of my ute in a swag on the shores of Lake Sorell. As an unexpected bonus, we got to sail beside two famous square riggers as we sailed up the D'Entrecasteaux Channel. And I'm going to tell you the story of this rather intriguing bell. It's engraved with the words Lady Nelson. Oh, that's loud. Must have quite a story to tell. For those of you that watched the last video, this is the St Mary's railway station, and it is an exact replica of the Lilydale railway station. St Mary's railway station marks the end of the line for the Fingal branch. It chugged into existence on June the 29th, 1886. Nowadays, it's less about coal and steam and more about posing for selfies. It offers a glimpse into Tasmania's railway glory days. St Helens is a charming fishing and holiday village built around the shores of Georges Bay. It boasts a rich maritime heritage and a tranquility that instantly relaxes you. My wife's father spent his summers here with his uncle Percy, who once owned Queechy Cottages. He told us stories of catching abundant supplies of crayfish from the jetty that was built just where the road meets the bay. The Bay of Fires is known for its pristine white sandy beaches, crystal clear turquoise waters and granite boulders covered in fiery orange lichen. There are many opportunities for swimming, snorkelling and coastal walks. My family used to camp here when we were young. The fish were plentiful and easy to catch in those days close to shore. I remember the canopy of stars overhead, which turned out to be a myriad of holes burnt in the roof of the tent by sparks from a huge bonfire the night before. It was nice to see the kelp forests flourishing on the rocks near the shoreline. When we dived here 30 years ago, the ancient kelp forests were widespread and nearly impenetrable in places. Yes, cosy corner. Very nice waterfront spots. And must be way too cold for all those mainlanders. I may seem a bit overdressed for the occasion. I picked up some wet weather gear from Tamer Marine that was on special just as I departed Launceston, and I wanted to try it out before I got on board Osprey. The truth is, it was pretty cold at the Bay of Fires, which would explain why I was one of only few campers. I'm told it's extremely busy and difficult to find a spot to pitch your tent in the summertime. The Motor Yacht Club of Tasmania is securely tucked into a cove at Lindisfarne, looking south under the Tasman Bridge towards Mount Wellington. It proved to be a great place for a beer and a debrief with Neil after our trip up from the D'Entrecasteaux Channel. I met Neil here near his quaint little boat shed, from where he took me down to Kettering, where Osprey was waiting for us on its mooring. If you know anything about the beautiful Elena that's being restored quite close to where Neil has his boat shed. I'd love to hear about it, so put a comment in the section below. We picked up Neil's little tender and put her in the water for a short little putt out to the mooring where Osprey has been swinging and waiting for us to take her up to Lindisfarne. We're setting sail from Kettering aboard the Osprey, a classic Herreshoff design that's been meticulously restored by Neil Houston and his mate Shane. The weather promises a serene downwind journey to Lindisfarne, just a bit overcast and with plenty of opportunities to test my new wet weather gear in the passing showers. She was built by Cecil Cartledge and was originally launched in 1976 with a sloop rig and a humble 10 horsepower Volvo engine. Osprey has since undergone significant transformations, including a recent upgrade to a two-cylinder 15 horsepower Yanmar engine, with plans for a further enhancement to a 3-cylinder version. And I've got my eyes on the 2-cylinder one to replace the Volvo in Sarah Ann. Although it's more powerful than the existing engine, it's less weight and more compact in size. John Philp, who was the designer and builder of Sarah Ann, hence her Herreshoff-like lines, was apprenticed by Cec Cartledge, and I'm told that it's quite likely that John was involved in the fit-out of Osprey. I've included this flashback to Osprey under full sail in the Kettering Wooden Boat Rally back in March of this year. We were unable to raise the main on this occasion. It happened because while at Kettering the halyard slipped up through the sheet block and was lost. Now I did offer to scale the mast and put the halyard back through, but for some reason Neil was a little bit reluctant to let me do it. It might just be something to do with the centre of gravity. The original Lady Nelson was launched on November the 13th in 1798 at Mr. Deadman's yard in Deptford, England. She was a small 16-metre vessel and she was noted for her innovative 3 sliding keels which allowed her to navigate shallow waters. Commanded by Lieutenant James Grant, she sailed to New South Wales in 1800, becoming the first ship to sail through Bass Strait. Lady Nelson played a significant role in early Australian exploration, surveying Western Port Bay, discovering Port Phillip and aiding in the settlement of Tasmania. The family of my late aunt, Rebecca Round, were on board the Lady Nelson when she was used to transport convicts from the colony on Norfolk Island to mainland Australia. Rebecca and her husband Graham were very passionate about the rebuilding of the replica of the Lady Nelson.
There once was a ship that put to sea, and the name of that ship was the Billy O.T. The winds blew harder, bow dip down, blow me bully boys blow. Soon may the weatherman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tanking is done, we'll take our leave and go.
Nathaniel Lucas and Olivia Gascoigne came out on the first fleet. Nathaniel was a carpenter and Olivia Gascoigne was found guilty of armed robbery. They were taken from Botany Bay directly across to Norfolk Island, with the Marines needed to look after them, to cut Norfolk pines for spars and to grow flax for cordage for the ships. Neither of those was successful because Norfolk Island was so inaccessible, you cannot land there. everything had to be taken in over the roofs in what they called bum boats, and so that colony was eventually just de-escalated.
Eventually, the crew of the Lady Nelson annoyed the natives on one of the islands in the Pacific Ocean so much that they captured the vessel and burnt her to the waterline. I believe they still are in possession of her cannon, but what about her bell? But this is not that bell. This is one that Rebecca acquired from an antique shop, and they gave it to the project, inscribed Lady Nelson, and to the memory of their late son, Ian. I don't know the full story, but Rebecca was in possession of the bell when she passed away about a year ago. And since then it came into my possession. So if anyone knows the story of the bell, let me know in the comments below. I'd be intrigued.
She had not been 2 weeks from shore. That whale in tow. Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the telling is done, we'll take our leave and go. Da 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 da. Before the boat had hit the water, the whale's tail came up and caught her. All hands to the side harpooned and fought her when she dived down low.
The sail training vessel Windward Bound is a majestic brigantine-rigged tall ship. She's constructed from Tasmanian eucalypt, Huon pine and Oregon, and she's got a displacement of about 120 tonnes. She's 110 feet overall and has a beam of 24 feet and a draft of 10 feet 8 inches. Windward Bound is powered by a 300 horsepower Cummins main engine. She's sailed over 100,000 nautical miles, including numerous circumnavigations and coastal journeys around Australia.
Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the time is done, we'll take our leave and go.
The Tasman Bridge disaster occurred on the evening of the 5th of January 1975. I remember sitting on the beach down at Coles Bay and hearing the news on the morning of the 6th. The bulk carrier Lake Illawarra was travelling up the Derwent River and collided with several of the pylons on the bridge and caused a large section of the bridge deck to collapse. 12 people were killed, including 7 crew on board and 5 occupants in 4 cars, which fell 45 metres after driving off the bridge.
The line was cut, no whale was freed, and the captain's mind was not on greed. But he belonged to the whalesman's creed, he took that ship in tow. Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Da 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 da. Both were lost, there were only 4, still that whale did go. Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. As far as I've heard, the fight's still on, the line's not cut and the whale's not gone. The wellerman makes his regular call, turn for the captain, crew and all. Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Da 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 da
Meanwhile, back at Neil's boat shed in Lindisfarne, we discover another little treasure, a beautiful little workboat built by Muirs that Neil has been restoring for some time. And of course the day's not over until everything is hosed down. And next I head off to the lakes area in Tassie to camp in the back of my ute and to rekindle, so to speak, my firelighting skills with the aid of copious amounts of accelerant. So here's how that all went, to the tune by Kyle Cox of Happy on My Own, which I think is very appropriate in the circumstances. And hopefully pretty soon the smoke will reduce. There are three things that are different about camping up here in the highlands from many years ago when I used to do it quite regularly. The first is that we didn't ever have herds of deer parading through the campsite. The lakes were not full of carp, and we didn't eat avocado. Even the currawongs were happy to come in for a little bit of warm up beside the fire and pick up a few of my crumbs. I was really amazed that this chubby little kookaburra allowed me to get so close, but then I realised he was very focused on his next meal. The waters here used to be pristine and clear, and it was one of Tasmania's premier trout fishing areas. I think they still catch trout here. But unfortunately carp got into the system and they haven't been able to do anything about it, despite some very expensive carp eradication programs in place for here and the adjacent Lake Crescent. There's nothing like a good old-fashioned windy gravel road. They're getting few and far between now, but this one, between Lake Sorell and down towards Tunbridge, is a very pleasant drive indeed. Heading down onto the flats there where they're doing a lot of irrigation nowadays, as they are right throughout Tasmania. And the roads steadily improve until you get to the major highway which dissects the island from north to south. This is a cherry farm. been a lot of erosion here. I've always been a dreamer, and this piece of land on the Swan River was a place where I formed some very well developed dreams and visions. Sadly, not every vision comes to fruition in our lives, and this one at Dolphin Sands has now become a place where another little family has made a decent go of it. I spent many hours sitting on the riverbank here just contemplating life. But the dreams we had for developing a little family retreat down there just weren't to be, and we moved on to other things. Just think about it. I wouldn't have Sarah Ann had we developed this property. There are quite a few things that you can do to help support the channel. They include liking, commenting and subscribing. But you know, the YouTube algorithm is a weird thing. It just loves it if you click on the next video.